Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends, guys. Welcome back to r/IDontWorkHereLady, where in today's episode, an entitled touristy Karen makes a huge mistake by attacking an off-duty officer while on vacation. Great idea, right? Guys, the stories today are awesome, so sit back, relax, kick your feet up, grab your dog, and get ready for some wild stories. So I used to work at a fast food place similar to Chipotle, but not Chipotle. There was one regular customer who we'll call Karen. Karen and her family always ate in the restaurant. They would make a huge mess, and she would even say to her kids, "Don't worry, these people get paid to clean your mess." Whenever she was done eating, she would make a fake complaint just to get free food. Now, the franchise owner of the store didn't want trouble, so he always comped her something. I've always dealt with her on a regular basis, but I quit the store about a year and a half ago. So the other day, I went there as a customer and happened to see this woman. Some of the people who I worked with still work there. As I sat down to eat, Karen and her family walks in and I sighed. However, today was different. I got to see her in action as a customer, not an employee who could be reprimanded by failing to bow down to her wishes. Today, they were out of a particular sauce that happened to be Karen's favorite. Karen, of course, gets mad. Now, I don't exactly remember word for word the conversation, so I'm paraphrasing here. Karen says something like, "This is an outrage. How do you not have this one sauce? Get me your manager." The manager comes out and tells her, "We apologize, but we've run out. We've been low on stock and we'll have more tomorrow when the truck order comes in." Karen screams at him saying, "But I'm here now. This is why you guys suck. The food is terrible, there's awful service, and you are always running out of things. What kind of restaurant are you running here?" I then pipe up with a huge smile and say, "Well, Karen, why do you come here then?" Upon hearing this, Karen looks in my direction, recognizes me immediately, and then screams at the manager saying, "Are you gonna let him talk to me like that? Fire him." I then smile at her saying, "I don't work here anymore, Karen. I quit a year and a half ago. I'm a customer today. And as a customer, I'm gonna say something that everybody here has wanted to tell you forever. F you, Karen. You have single-handedly caused everybody here more stress than every other customer that's walked through the door combined. F you." At this point, Karen has a shocked look on her face. Her and her family leave. The staff laugh and then thank me. Hopefully she'll never walk through that door again. And yes, I know it's immature, but I know what it's like being on the other side of the counter, dealing with customers like her. Bravo, OP. Not all heroes wear capes, guys. Some happen to be ex-employees who are fed up with customers like her. And honestly, people who act like that deserve to be treated like that. And after all those years of treating employees like crap, I'm happy to know that Karen finally got a taste of her own medicine. So I live in the north of England, in what is seen as quite an affluent area. Not that all of us who live here are affluent. There's definitely two ends of town, and I live in the more down-to-earth end of town. At the other end, you'll see a lot of Mercedes, Audis, BMWs, Lexuses, and now Teslas are being driven around. My point is, people love to show off their money. I drive a 6-year-old Ford. You get the idea. Now, what we do have near me are a few really excellent artisan shops. There's a butcher selling some of the best beef I've ever tasted. We have a coffee roaster and a patisserie that would not be out of place in France. We also have a small supermarket, and this is where this all takes place. So just up the road, we have what we call a special school. It deals with young adults with a range of mental and physical disabilities. The carers work one-on-one with the kids, and they take them out to shops to get them used to shopping independently. Those of us who live here know the carers, know the kids, and always have a chat when they're in the shops. It's lovely to see them when they make independent purchases. So this is where Karen comes into play. I had gone to the supermarket to pick up a few things for dinner tonight, and bumped into one of the carers who I know from volunteering. She told the girl she was with to carry on shopping. As we were chatting, I see a Tesla pull up and park in the disabled spot, and Karen walks in. I mentioned as she passed that she shouldn't be in the disabled spot, and she just looked straight past me and carried on. Shortly after, there was a raised voice. The carer and I heard, "Don't just stand there looking stupid. Go get me a bottle from the back. Now." Now, the kids all wear a lanyard and a badge around their neck, telling you that they're at the school, and this must have confused Karen. So as we round the corner, we see a terrified disabled kid in tears, and Karen just standing there. The next words out of her mouth are, This place keeps getting worse and worse. You guys are employing morons now. At this point, the carer steps in and says, "Hey, you need to stop that now. This girl's in my care and she's disabled. Can't you see she has Downs?" Karen then responded, "They shouldn't be out with normal people, and you should be controlling her." Now hearing that, the carer was dumbstruck. It was at this point I decided it was time I chipped in. So I say, okay, listen, what sort of person thinks their expensive car gives them the right to park where disabled people have a space reserved for them, and then hurl abuse at a disabled person being given the opportunity to start living their life as independently as they can? Now Karen comes back with, "We worked for everything we have." Now in the North, we have a term for describing people with money and no class, and I loved her face when I turned back to her and said, "No love, you are all fur coat and no knickers." Hearing that, she turned red and stormed out. Nobody got arrested, and we calmed the girl down and helped her finish shopping. And I told her not to worry. Not everybody's as sad as that Karen was. Guys, what an absolutely awful human being. And too bad there wasn't time for her car to be towed or ticketed for parking in that disabled spot. And seriously, I don't know how they refrained from hitting her when she opened her rude mouth. And I love this person's comment right here. This person says, "Karen should be allowed to park in that disabled spot. It's just not apparent until she opens her mouth." Oof. Okay, so finally, I have a story to share in this sub. This isn't my story, but it's my friend's. So my friend Raj works for a very huge global conglomerate in management, and he travels around the US a lot. However, his house is in the suburbs of a famous college town in Texas. So he was out of town for the whole last week, and he came back yesterday evening. Once at the airport, his colleague and friend Mike picked him up as a favor to drop him off at home. Once they were almost home, Raj realized that his fridge was near empty, as he'd been gone for some time and he needed some food. So they stop at a gas station to get some frozen foods and some small snacks. Now, a thing about my friend Raj is he's always dressed sharp. He's always dressed sharp. It's how he was taught since he was a kid. He's royalty, like literally. His name is in my country's list of people with royal lineage. He's also a very, very, very nice guy, unless you piss him off. So anyways, Raj and Mike go into the store and got some stuff. Raj had his laptop bag with him, as it was a neighborhood where he didn't want to leave it in the car, and he was also dressed in a suit. There was a guy behind the counter who looked bored, and this point is when Karen comes in. Raj told me that she looked older. She then comes up to Raj and immediately asked him where a certain drink was, and that she usually buys it here, but today she couldn't find any. Now Raj was confused. He just looks at her. And here's the gist of the conversation as said by him. He says to her, "I'm sorry, what? I don't know. I don't come here usually, so I don't know where anything is." To which Karen says, "Ugh, another lazy college student. You are getting paid to help me, so do your job." And yes, she assumed because he's walking around in a suit, holding a laptop bag and a shopping cart, that he works here. Now Raj understood what happened and he says, "Sorry, I don't work here. I'm also here to shop. There's a guy behind the counter. Maybe he can help." Karen says to him, "Help me now. I know you need this job. Don't you force me to call your manager and get you fired. Stop being lazy." Now, Raj thought that his mask made it hard for her to understand, so he pulls his mask down and says loudly, "Ma'am, I don't work here. I'm also shopping. I've had a long flight and I'm tired, so please leave me alone." Karen then says to him, "Ugh, you brown guys are always so lazy. I'm asking you for the last time before I call your manager and get you fired. Get my drinks now." Hearing that, Raj was pissed, but he looks at her calmly and said, "Sure, let me help you." He then looks at the assistant behind the counter and he says loudly, "Hey, dude, can you come here? This old lady needs some help shopping, and I think she has a problem with her ears and eyes. She thinks I work here, and she can't seem to hear me when I've explained that I don't work here multiple times." He then looks at Karen and again loudly said, "Don't worry, someone's gonna come help you so you won't trip and fall." Karen was red in the face. She just looks at Raj angrily and she walks away. The shop assistant didn't even know what happened. And while this was happening, it seems that Mike actually paid for a drink and then came running back to enjoy the show while sipping his drink. He was also laughing the whole way home. Guys, I love this story, and I love how Raj handled that situation. Hey dude, can you come help with this woman? She's old as heck and she can't seem to hear or see that I don't work here. Best response ever. So a bit of backstory. This happened 2 years back when I was still in high school. It was summer break, and me, a few friends, and my uncle went out for ice cream at one of the local shops. We were celebrating me receiving an invite to a very prestigious military school that I'll refer to as WP. Since it was summer, there was a pretty long line at this tiny place, and they only had outdoor seating. Being that we were a big group, we all went to find a table first, and I made a list on my phone with everybody's orders, so only one of us had to wait in line. As I turned to go in line, I heard it. You know that noise that someone makes when they think they're high and mighty? That condescending clearing of the throat. Now mind you, I'm pretty weirdly built for a female. I'm pretty short, like 5 feet tall, but I'm bulky from being a wrestler and doing weightlifting. At the time, I think I just had some standard jean shorts and a random shirt with my school's logo on it. Nothing that would have made me seem like an employee at the shop. Not that the actual workers would ever come outside to take orders or anything. Now at first, I kind of tried to ignore the lady and keep heading towards the line, but she made her throat clearing noise again. And me being me, I decided to see what she wanted. Now, I really didn't want to say anything to some random lady, so I just sort of made eye contact with her and raised my eyebrow at her. She had a pretty stereotypical Karen look. She was mid-30s with that short cut, fake blonde hair, and tacky acrylic nails. When she realized that I acknowledged her, she huffed before talking to me. Karen says, "Well, took you long enough. I want to order." Like, I sort of knew this woman was going to be loud and irritating, but I just wanted to keep my cool and explain the situation. So I say, I don't work here. I'm just grabbing what me and my group want, so we don't have to stand in. She then interrupts me and says, "I watched you write down their order. Don't give me that crap. You work here, so help me." Okay, so clearly I was dealing with a crazy lady. Great. I tell her, "Miss, I just told you I don't work here. I just wrote down what everybody wanted in my friends group, and I was gonna place an order at the counter." After that, I turned to walk away, and it turns out, apparently like most Karens, sudden movement upsets them. As I turn around, I felt those fake acrylic nails press into my wrist. This woman actually decided to grab me. I quickly rip my arm from her grip as I turn around to face her. Now, the mere fact that she had the audacity to grab me, even if I was an employee, is insane. There's no reason to place your hands on anybody. I tell her, "Look, lady, even if I worked here, which I don't, you have absolutely no reason to ever lay those stupid hands on me." Through the shouting, my uncle grabs the manager to come help me out. He then comes running over and says, "What are you doing to my knees?" He then grabs my arm to check over my wrist, and I knew I was bleeding a bit from where she dug her nails in, but I didn't really notice it too much. The manager was trying to ask the Karen about what happened, and Karen rants how I was rude, didn't want to take her order, and how I assaulted her. Now obviously she didn't have any marks on her, while I was the one with nail marks in my wrist. The manager calmly explained that I didn't work there, nor do the workers come around to take orders. My uncle told the manager that while I was okay, the lady needed to go. So needless to say, I got my ice cream, and I had a pretty nice time after that. Guys, there are just way too many stories where Karens grab others and use their nails as weapons. If I was that uncle, forget about calling the manager. I'd be calling an ambulance for Karen, if you know what I mean. Attacking my knees? No, that's not gonna happen. So a little context. I work as a federal officer in my country, and I always go on a trip to the beach in the month of March because that's my vacation month. So on this trip, I was with my girlfriend's sister, and my friend from work. Now to the story. So I was chilling, waiting for my girlfriend and her sister to come out of the store along the beach, when I saw her. Now the woman did look like a Karen the first sight. She had blonde hair, black glasses, and she had her bratty kids with her. She was trying to pass the sunscreen to her kids, who were screaming that they wanted to go into the water. That got me a little annoyed because they were really close to me, so I just got up and moved away from them. I was staring down at my phone, trying to message my girlfriend, when I felt something touch my shoulder. When I turn around, the mother was a little close to me, and this conversation happens. I spoke to her in Portuguese first, as that's the native language here. I say to her, "Hi, can I help you?" I quickly find out that she's a tourist, and she says, "What? Stop speaking Spanish with me and talk like a normal person." Now hearing that, I was trying not to take it too personal, so I say, "I'm sorry miss, this is Portuguese, not Spanish. But again, how can I help you?" She then says to me, "That's a little rude, don't you think?" She then tells me to grab a table for her and her kids, as they want to sit and eat something. I say to her, "Lady, I think you misjudged. I do not work here." Now I want to note that I am a black man, and I'm a pretty big guy and have tattoos all over my back. I'm not the nicest looking guy if I don't smile, as I do give off a gangster vibe. The woman was about to yell at me for not doing my job when my girlfriend shows up. My conversation with my girlfriend is in Portuguese. She asked, "Is everything okay here?" I tell her, "Yes, babe. She's just confused me as one of the boys who works here." The woman then gets mad. She interrupts the conversation that my girlfriend and I are having, screaming, "What did I tell you about speaking that language around me? I'm a customer." To which I say to her, "Miss, you are in another country whose main language isn't English. My girlfriend doesn't speak English, and I'm going to tell you again that I don't work here." She then says, "What do you mean not knowing English? English is a universal language. Is she dumb?" Now at that point, I am mad. I don't care if you insult me. But when you talk bad about my girlfriend who doesn't understand what you're saying, I don't like that. I say to her, "Hey, if you're gonna talk like that about her, maybe you should go F yourself. Are you too stupid to know that this is another country?" The woman then calls me rude and she walks away. My girlfriend grabs me to calm me down as she could tell that I was pure anger at the moment and wanting to fight. After a few minutes, the woman comes back with the manager and she screams, "Him! The black guy with the glasses!" The manager says to her, "Miss, I don't think," and that's when she cuts him off and says, "He was rude to me and he told me to F myself. Is that the way you train your staff in this country?" The manager then asks me in Portuguese and says, "Man, did you really tell her to F herself?" I then nod, saying, "You bet I did." Manager says, "Sorry, but I can't fire him." She then looks red at this point and screams, "Well, why not?" "Because he doesn't work here, lady." The woman's now furious. I think she's one of those people who always gets what she wants and doesn't take no for an answer because she freaks out and screams, "What do you mean by that? Are you really trying to save this lazy employee? You, racial slur, are all the same." Now, remember when I said that I was a federal officer? So that came in really handy because this story gets nuts. The manager's trying to calm her down, but she just screamed and screamed like a banshee with another banshee on a call. It was so loud that it attracted the attention of two officers who was doing their patrol along the beach. The officers tried to speak to her, but she was mad. She then charges in my direction and she swings at me, trying to hit me with a slap, and my only reaction is to throw her to the ground. As soon as I take her down, she screams, "Assault! Assault!" At that point, I just pull out my badge and scream that I'm actually an officer. The woman saw the cops doing nothing and she just goes pale. She then tried to make up some excuse saying that's a fake badge and screaming that this racial slur can't be an officer. There's no way. She ended up in handcuffs as her two kids were crying. Okay, so for all of you who are wondering, OP's an officer in Brazil. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I go on vacation, I'm on my frickin' best behavior, especially when it's a foreign country. Like, the last thing you want to do is get arrested in a country you aren't from. Like, what the heck was she thinking? Like, the woman's got two kids, and she decides to assault someone and act like that? First of all, that's ultimate entitlement, right? For even suggesting they speak English in their country. And second of all, I hope she enjoys prison in Brazil, because that might teach her a lesson. This story happened about 5 years ago. I took my infant son with me shopping at Walmart. I decided to cut through the women's clothing section aisle to bypass a few straggling shoppers taking up the main aisle, when I was stopped by an elderly woman. The woman tried to speak to me, but she was having some difficulties as her English wasn't great. We do have a lot of ethnic groups in my community, and due to my job, I have to interact with people who can barely speak English. I'll paraphrase what she said to me to make the story quicker. The woman says, "Can you please help me? I'm looking for a nursing bra." So I say, "I'm sorry, I don't work here and I don't know where they are, but they should be in this general area." The woman then says to me, "Please, can you help me?" I say to her, "I'm sorry, I don't work here, but I can help you look." The woman then says, "Oh, thank you. My daughter just had a baby, and she asked me to get her a nursing bra. I don't even know what that is." I then explained to her what a nursing bra was, as I helped her look. Eventually I did find them, as the undergarment section wasn't labeled correctly. The woman then says, "Can you please help me find her size? She says she normally wears this, but she's grown since then." I say to her, "Unfortunately, I don't know what size she would be right now, but this one here says it's more adjustable." The woman then says to me, "Oh, thank you. I knew you could help." Her grandchild and my son now go to the same school together. Same class this year, apparently. We ran into each other the other day, and she remembered me. See, now this is a more normal I don't work here encounter that probably happens all the time, so I thought I'd share with you guys. And that wraps up another I Don't Work Here episode, guys. So if you enjoy the stories, do hit that thumbs up. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, an entitled Karen trespasses on OP's land and then calls 911 on him when he's caught. It's such a crazy story, so go check it out if you haven't. And myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.